Oh my goodness. I'm here. Yes. Let me move my microphone over a little bit. Hi, everyone. This is Cassandra Williamson. I am coming to you from a holler in eastern Kentucky. Yeah, this morning started out pretty interesting. I thought that maybe I was going to have a decent opportunity just to kind of breeze through today for the Midday with Cassandra episode. And, well, found an article from John Phelan. Phelan or whatever, however he wants to pronounce his name. So, yeah, they're going after the Naval Academy's academic review process to make sure there's nothing woke in it. They're attacking all of these different things at the Naval Academy. They're going after anything that has to do with representations for DEI, and which is, the administration has the right to do those things. And recently, Hegseth removed Vice Admiral Davids as superintendent of the Naval Academy, and she was highly qualified for that job, and he may have needed her somewhere else. But knowing his background, knowing Pete Hegseth's background, knowing that he comes from a Christian dominionist background, and knowing how strongly he believes that women should not be in leadership roles over men ever. Those are his beliefs. Those are the foundational things that forced him, that actually drove him to move his family to be near his church in Tennessee. And what do we have happening at the DOD? Well, he's bringing in his pastor and other people in from over there to hold these prayer services at the DOD, at the Pentagon. So whenever I hear somebody tell me that, no, it's not about that she's going to be given a better opportunity somewhere else, Admiral Davids is actually going to be moved up and advanced in different positions, given an inside track over to the Pentagon. No, that just does not sit with me, because I know who he is. And I appreciate the fact that people consider him to be upright and upstanding and all that kind of thing. And he most likely is a good person for the most part. But he has allowed his ideology to drive every decision that he is making, to the point that he has removed people he just didn't like because they looked different than him. I can name a lot of those people. And there's only one reason he removed them: because he doesn't know how to talk to them. He feels uncomfortable around them. I don't know what it is. He just feels uncomfortable around all these people who are so different, and having a woman in command of an academy responsible for training the minds of our warriors. That just drives him up the wall, because he doesn't think that a woman can do anything. He thinks they ought to be home making babies and fixing the food. That's the kind of thinking that comes out of this church that he's a part of. And Doug Wilson, the person out in the Midwest who actually is the one who initiated all this kind of stuff, that's where it comes from. These people don't give up on their beliefs like that. They don't set them aside. They believe that they have every right to impose their beliefs on you, because they think theirs is the only one that's right, and that everybody else is wrong. They believe they have a responsibility to tell the government how to lead itself, how to govern itself. That's what we're seeing. And this piece that came out from John Phelan, Secretary of Navy, directing that the Academic Review Board go through everything again. They're going to put all these new prominent leaders on this new board to review the academic standards of the Naval Academy and all the resources available there to weed out woke, so you can have warriors. That's such a load of crap, folks. I've been pissed about it all morning long. But then again, it feels personal to me. I don't know about you, but it feels personal to me. What is this? What is this with the focus on the Naval Academy? Why are they so focused? Why are Hegseth and Phelan and Trump focused directly on the Naval Academy? Any question? Any ideas? Any suggestions as to why that might be the case? Well, I've got a couple of things for you to consider. One is there was a woman leading it. That comes out of their religious beliefs, folks. So they do not set those beliefs aside when they walk in the door. That's who they are. I know these people. I used to be involved with them. For 6.5 years, I worked for some Christian nationalists in Texas. Yes, I know about these people. I know what they think and how they want to do things. I've seen it. I've heard it. I've watched it been written and broadcast. Yes. And that was 30 years ago. They haven't changed. It's still the same thing. Still the same stuff. No matter what you think about it, that's what these people want. The only thing I can think of, well, no, it's not the only thing, but the outcome of this is they're taking their ideological purity test, forcing it upon the academy leadership, the military leadership, the new officers coming up to lead the military. They want to imprint that generation of people for the next 35 years with the stuff that they want to teach them right now, so that they can say that they have accomplished their goal and that those people are no longer woke, no longer capable of seeing the world through other eyes, because those other eyes are just not the ones they want you to see through. In order to be an effective strategic leader, you must be able to consider multiple perspectives, to think through them, to understand them. You don't have to make them your own, but at least to understand these other perspectives, see the world through other eyes, and get input from other perspectives, because you don't know it all. What I see occurring right now with John Phelan and Pete Hegseth, I'm going to put it under a psychological term: Dunning-Kruger. That's exactly what I think of these two. Now, I could be the dumb one too, though. Who knows? Who knows, really? I don't know. But I do know that they are definitely meeting all of the criteria for Dunning-Kruger effect. If you don't know what that is dumb people don't know they're dumb. They will tell you up one side and down the other that they are the smartest ones around, that they know it all, they've got the most wisdom, they got the most experience, and that their particular understanding of the world is the only true and right way. And for anyone to actually come out and say stuff like that and trying to invoke it upon the rest of the military or rest of this nation, it tells you straight up they've got a serious Dunning-Kruger effect problem. When people start dealing in absolutes, they tell you things that are absolutes, then, and I know that I've been prone to say some things too, so just chalk me up in there if you want to. I don't care. But and this is an absolute, when you start speaking in absolutes and you think that the world operates around those absolutes, you've fallen into that ditch. And right now, the people in power, they own the ditch. They're going to drag the rest of us into it, this nation into it, for sure. I mean, how many of you saw the article I guess maybe yesterday, that came out talking about Secretary Kennedy actually stopping the $500 million in research that was money that was being directed toward research on mRNA research? The most promising field of research right now for vaccines and vaccine care and vaccine production and all of that, stopped it because his experts, and he's no expert, he is a quack, period. That man is a quack. Promotes anti-science and pseudoscience as if it were science. It has no business being considered for anything. Your voices need to be heard, and your voices need to be incorporated into at least the discussion. But whenever you see the evidence and you see the impact of what you're doing, you ought to be able to adapt and change your friggin' mind. But to cancel that money for research on mRNA research, that's not the only thing they're doing. They're going after the statistician, the person who said that the job numbers were 73,000, because they said, Trump says, that's a political number. That's a political statement. But you know something? I did a deep dive into the past 50 years of research, the 50 years of jobs numbers. For 56% of the time, the numbers were revised upward. For only 0.18% did the numbers remain unchanged. 50 years. Those aren't anomalies. They adjust the numbers twice. After you put them out, they adjust it twice. It can go up a month later, or it can go down. The revisions come out twice. So I'm going to pull up that little piece of paper, that little thing, that research I did on that one, and kind of just go down through those numbers with you for a second, because it's important that actually said in this. Let me go to, where's it at? Where's that? That one. Give me a second. I'm pulling up some numbers. All right, let me increase the size of that, go over to here, and we're going to go down. Okay. Over the past 50 years, I'm going to read directly from here. Over the past 50 years, the data shows that revisions are very common. Now, here's a breakdown of how the final revisions have compared to the initial estimates, okay? Upward, 56.55% of the time. Downward, 43.27% of the time. No change at 0.18% of the time. The mean absolute error for these revisions is approximately 56,000 jobs. This means that on average, the total number is about 56,230 jobs on average. It's an average number. Jobs different from the initial announcement in either direction. Yeah. So what was put out was done with all the available information. It was not politically positioned, but all it did was it hurt Trump's wee little feelings. That's all it did, because he thought that it ought to be higher. And since it didn't turn out to be higher, he'll fire the person who gave him the numbers, put somebody in over there who is more malleable, who doesn't stick to the data and the science and just does what he wants them to say. I've been trying so hard to get people to see that that's exactly what this administration is all about. They are about getting you to see what they want you to see at all costs. They're about destroying the institutions, or at least remaking the institutions in their image. And I don't like the image that they're trying to make things into. So far, I only know about the Naval Academy thing. I haven't seen yet whether or not they're going after West Point or the Coast Guard or Air Force or Merchant Marine. I haven't seen any of those yet. But they've decided to go after the Naval Academy specifically. I don't know why. I don't know. It feels, like I said earlier on, it feels personal to me, because I do publicly and loudly go after them when they say stupid crap. I think Hegseth has got the weakest little mind I've ever seen. I don't know John Phelan or anything about him, but I do know he has no experience with the Navy. He's civilian. That's happened in the past. That has no experience with the military. I think. I know for sure he has no experience with the Navy. But he's a civilian. He has no knowledge or experience with the Navy at all. people, we better be getting our heads out of our butts, because what I'm seeing, it may seem conspiratorial to you or whatever, but what I'm seeing, and by the way, I'm not a conspiratorial person. I'm not a conspiracist at all. But what I see coming is an attempt to so completely dismantle our trust in the Constitution itself, the trust in the institutions of government, the trust in our leaders, our elected leaders, our military leaders. You're destroying the trust and respect. They are doing these things. They're doing it right out in front of us and telling us what they're doing. And all you have to do is take the blinders off and look around the world, and you'll see examples throughout history too. You'll see examples of how that has worked and been implemented in the past. And you can't tell me that that's not the way it is. I mean, I will listen to you. But, oh my gosh. These are rough times for a lot of people, folks. Come back this evening at 6. We'll do some more digging, talking, yelling, and screaming.